Alright, welcome back to another Art of War 3 replay. I'm your host, JEONG SINAH, and today we're going to be doing an AOW3 Birthday Tournament battle. I'm going to be the green Confederate player facing off against Rincks konfa, who is the blue Confederate player. Rincks is a YouTuber with an 80+% win rate. He is very strong. So we got an exciting battle lined up. Let's go ahead and get into it. We got some early game action unfolding on the battlefield as we fight for those early resources for base development. We can see here that I am going for multiple supply centers here. I'm already HQ3, so I'm going to go ahead and start to get some ground units out just to have a standing army for defense. We can see that Rincks konfa is very aggressive on the ground, capturing those resources for base development, so I need to be careful. I can't let the discrepancy in resources get too far. We can see that we're fighting for some map control there with the fire assaults. I'm sending a cyclone over to scout. We can see there's a couple typhoons out already, quadruple barracks there, and a level 3 headquarters. Most likely there's probably some good infrastructure that's down, so I need to be careful. I know from the gameplay that this person knows what they're doing, so we're going for triple assault vehicle factories here. My plan is to potentially go for a full HQ3 army, make a push onto the blue player, and see what happens. So in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and collect resources around the battlefield. I've got tons of resources, so I'm going to take advantage of this and use a gold production boost to build my army as fast as possible. And we can see that there's vertex on the battlefield, so good thing I have some typhoons to back me up. But Rincks konfa is going to have some vertex for that aerial control on the battlefield. So we're going to swipe a resource container there, and we're going to go ahead and launch our assault now. Here we go, first major assault of the battle. Going to throw on a gold common attack boost, and we can see I've got a mix of infantry with hammer tanks and a torrent, as well as plenty of typhoons there. Rincks konfa has plenty of infantry, Zeus tanks, and a few typhoons in the mix. We can see that I'm trying to keep my hammers moving as much as possible to minimize damage from the Zeus tanks. I have the numbers on my side, but Rincks konfa has the Zeus tanks, which are heavily armored. They're dishing out a lot of damage against my hammer tanks. So I'm thinning out the army steadily. We can see a couple of vertex get shredded there by my typhoons. But I'm losing troops quickly, and I start to realize right about this time that I just do not have the forces to keep pushing, so I'm going to go ahead and capture these resources there just to get those extra resources for production. We can see at the top bar, based on my command points, that I have already teched up to HQ4, seeing that this assault did not pan out as I had hoped. So I'm going to go ahead and retreat here. I cannot push an assault with typhoons alone. Rincks konfa is in pursuit with a few assaults here and Zeus tanks. Luckily for me, I've got some ground units that have been produced already. Got a mix of hammer tanks and fire assaults, but I know already I'm going to need a shield generator, so I'm going to try to buy some time here, push back Rincks konfa, and I've got enough ground troops to scare off Rincks konfa. He is going to retreat at this time. So my plan now is to transition over towards a heavier armor build. I'm going to go ahead and get some Zeus tanks out to back up my troops. We can see an infantry there just getting a scout onto Rincks konfa. I'm using my hammer tank to collect resources around the battlefield. I've got triple assault vehicle factories going for the Zeus production here. So I'm trying to keep my economy as high as possible just to keep all my factories going. And I'm going to switch to a gold production boost just to get my tanks out as fast as possible. So we can see that I'm max command points at this time, and I was actually going to use my extra resources for something, so I decided to put down some anti-air towers just in case Rincks konfa decides to launch an assault with the vertex. There goes the vertex. Rincks konfa knows I have a full ground army in position over here, so I'm going to go ahead and launch my assault here. I've got my cyclone over the cliff just to get a visual on Rincks konfa's base. And I'm going to try and get my forces into position here and get my typhoons deployed before I attack, but looks like Rincks konfa knows I'm here. Units weren't fully microed properly, so we're going to go ahead and commit to the assault. Here we go now. Second major assault of the game here. I've got 2 shield generators in the mix, as well as Zeus tanks, hammers, fire assault, and typhoons in the back for the anti-air support. A few of my typhoons are way too close to the front line, though. 2 of my typhoons to be exact. and I need to move up my other Typhoons, but I forgot to do that. This whole engagement is kind of unfolding here. My hammer tanks are trying to dish out damage against the Zeus tanks. We can see that Rincks konfa has a ton of rocket towers. That is a lot of heavy defense there. Vertex coming in now. We see a few Vertex in the mix there, so we know that Rincks konfa is HQ4 at this time. Rincks konfa targeting down my shield generator to get rid of the protection on the Zeus tanks. The Zeus are dishing out heavy damage against the Zeus tanks from Rincks konfa though. These tanks are just slugging it out, but the Vertex are coming in very handy for Rincks konfa, and Rincks konfa is going to be able to defend my assault successfully, but is going to take a lot of casualties to do it. We can see some Vertex go down there. They just burn up in the sky from my Typhoons. My Typhoons are going to go ahead and retreat now. So I got a fire assault here in the mix. Going to take out a couple heavy assaults there. Rincks konfa moving in to capture that large container to get the prize box there. Meanwhile, I'm trying to move units around on the battlefield to just keep things going and just keep collecting resource containers around the map. So the important thing with this tournament here is map control. Map control is so critical for being able to collect resources. We can see that my fire assaults are cleaning up Rincks konfa's assaults, and we're just continuing to produce units here. Here comes some Vertex from Rincks konfa. He's going to take out my level 3 special vehicle factory, but is going to lose a Vertex in the process. Meanwhile, I'm pushing another major ground assault onto Rincks konfa. Rincks konfa now trying to defend the base here with his units. He's got a decent army in the front here, but my Zeus tanks have the gold attack boost going, and they're just punching through these tanks here. Rincks konfa is starting to run out of options here. I am able to replace my units faster than Rincks konfa can replace his ground army, and each time I'm able to get a little bit further into the base. So we can see my Zeus tanks are now slugging it out with the tanks from Rincks konfa, and I am focusing on the Zeus tanks and the shield generator, trying to take out as much as I can with these tanks. I know that it's probably not going to be enough to punch through, but if I can dish out enough damage, it's going to set Rincks konfa back and give me time to assemble another army. This time I'm moving my Typhoons a little bit closer. I've got another shield generator. I need to move that shield generator up to protect my tanks. Here comes the Vertex. The Vertex burns up in the sky though. So the shield generator was moved up, and I need to activate that shield generator. And there we go. I finally activate the shield generator, and we can see that my tanks are dishing out damage against the buildings now for Rincks konfa. Rincks konfa is in trouble. They do not have any ground units to defend with. And I'm going to take out a rocket tower, but here comes two Zeus tanks from Rincks konfa. And looks like the Vertex still trying to dish out damage. And look, it just takes so much damage from the Typhoons and goes down. So we know I've got plenty of Typhoons on the battlefield, and you can see that my Typhoons are spread out pretty nicely just to minimize splash damage. We can see the shield generator active on those Zeus tanks. I'm not quite ready to attack yet, but I'm slowly rebuilding my assault force here, trying to just get some more infantry and tanks in. And we can see that fire assaults are getting a scout onto Rincks konfa's front line. Rincks konfa trying to build more rocket towers to rebuild the defensive line. And we can see that I've got more tanks coming in. I've got max command points. So here we go. We're going to launch one more attack here. We got Zeus tanks and fire assaults mixed together. Going to throw on a gold vehicle attack boost. And here we go. We're dishing out some good damage against Rincks konfa. Rincks konfa is truly starting to run out of options here. Rincks konfa is still trying to produce units to defend with, as well as using those rocket towers to try and dish out damage against the Zeus tanks as well. But my Zeus tanks are starting to come in. Reinforcements are coming in as well. It is not looking good at all for Rincks konfa. Here comes some Vertex though. Oh, and they get shredded by the Typhoons. Rincks konfa loses those Vertex, and now is essentially down to these last couple tanks here in the factories, and that's going to be it. So this is essentially good game at this point. The rest of this is really just me cleaning up Rincks konfa's base. It was a really good game overall. One thing Rincks konfa could have done better was to maintain map control with the Vertex and infantry. I was able to take map control later on in the game that allowed me to collect mass amounts of resource containers and keep army production up. Alright, that is pretty much good game. Hope you all enjoyed this exciting battle. We will see you in the next one.